lead, I'm going to introduce our host for today, one of the Sunday Assembly co-organizers. You know him, you love him, Mr. Landry Butler. Here we go. Thank you, Nashville!
How about it? This is great. It is not nearly as hot as I thought it would be.
Yeah, right.
And the sun is actually going to go this way, so we're going to get cooler. And you guys in the front, if you want to move under a 10 or if you want to do whatever's good for you, just, protect your skin. And that's important. Today is Sunday Assembly. It's our first Sunday Assembly in Hadley Park. We're going to be here June, July, and August. Very excited to be here in this historic location. And today we've got the Unnamed Assembly Band. Just did a couple of songs. Coming up, we've got our friend Tanya Trezise, who is also a Sunday Assembly organizer, is going to come read a poem. Come on up here. And then we are going to have other great things. I don't want to spill it all for you right now. Thanks for coming out. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Tanya, it's all you.
I'm going to read a poem. It's called Family and Friends by Lizzie Pureheart. We all have a cherished garden we tend. It is planted with love of family and friends. The memories and dreams we treasure and share are like beautiful roses found blooming there. The comfort and care on which we depend is given with love between family and friends. The sunshine of laughter and rain of a tear only make our love grow with each passing year. We may all be ourselves with no need to pretend because of the love of family and friends. They notice the rainbows and weather the showers. They overlook weeds and praise all our flowers. The most valuable thing is the time that we spend tending this garden with family and friends. When counting our blessings, we know from the start that family and friends come first in our heart. Thank you.
Rock on. That's Tanya Trezise, in case you want to know what her name is. Yes. Let's see. Next up, our featured speaker, Magda. Hey, Magda. Are you back there? She's back there. Magda is a storyteller, and she's going to talk about a little bit of the benefits of storytelling, why it works, how it connects people, how information and knowledge and wisdom are passed on through generations. We've got a lot of families here. All of us who are here have families, ancestors, descendants, all of those things. And it's good to connect everyone, to share our stories, to share our knowledge and our wisdom, and pass it on through the community. And so that's what we're talking about today. And come on out, Magda, and do your Magda thing. Is that not a cool shirt?
That is an awesome shirt.
That girl is in the house.
There once was a ragged old woman who was coming through town, and she went to the first door she went to, and she knocked on it, and the person who answered it looked at her. And she simply asked for just some meat, some wine, a bed to sleep in for that night. The owner of the house said that they had had sickness, and they didn't have anything to share. So she went to the next house she knocked, and when that door opened, she asked maybe for a piece of bread or some water, a barn to sleep in for the night. That person just simply shook their head and closed the door in her face. She went to the third house, and she couldn't even get out her request before the door slammed in her face. She went from house to house to house, every single door of the town, and no one had anything to share. So she made her way to the center of town where there was a beautiful fountain, and she sat down on the side of it, so tired and exhausted, wondering how she was going to take that one more step to find what she needed. All of a sudden, she heard hoofbeats coming from the distance, and when she looked up, there, in the midst of the great cloud of dust, was the most beautiful young man she had ever seen in her life, sitting on top of a high horse and wearing a rich red cloak behind him. Suddenly, the doors of the townspeople flew open. They came out bearing gifts of meats, artisan breads, the best wine, pure water, covers, pillows, blankets, handcrafted, offering them up to him. Suffice to say, she was angry. When the crowd dispersed, she made her way up to that young man. She stuck her finger in his face and said, "Who are you that they would give you so much when they turned me away so roughly?" He looked down at her and smiled. He said, "Lady, my name is Story. People give me whatever they wish for what I give them in return. Who are you that they would turn you away so violently without nothing?" She spit on the ground. She said, "My name is Truth. People turn me away any chance they get. So I have nothing but the air to live on." The young man smiled again. Then he reached behind him and took that rich red cloak from his shoulders, handed it down to her, and said, "Why don't you ride with me? Because I have a theory. Anytime story clothes truth, no one ever goes hungry." Okay, so stories. To talk about storytelling is like talking about being a human. It is something we do all the time. When we go home at night, share our family dinners, we're telling stories. When we're comforting a grieving friend, we're telling stories. When we're sharing jokes with our kids, we're telling stories. It's just some of us do it better than others. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of the why, because you know how. You've been doing it for years, all your life. I'm going to skip past the cave paintings and the fireplaces and the fireside chats and, all of the bards and minstrels, and straight to the guy who probably started introducing us to how to study stories academically and intellectually. And that was probably Sigmund Freud, father of psychiatry. He had a student named Carl Jung in Switzerland. And Carl took all of those crazy ideas of Freud's and started crafting his own ideas around them. Things like archetypes and the collective unconscious, which is basically this great big melting pot of ideas that every single one of us share, whether we know it or not. In the 1930s, another professor came along, took their ideas, built upon them, and started making something of his own. Joseph Campbell developed the idea of mythological studies. One of his theories that he found out studying through archaeology and anthropology was that two primitive cultures could develop their own thing on two completely separate continents, have absolutely no contact with one another, and yet still develop their own collection of stories that only differ in minor details. Think about Cinderella, right? Despite what Disney said, they did not invent this, right? Most of us actually know the French version that was first written down by Charles Perrault. But in Germany, they have their own version where her name is Aschenputtel. And in Asia, our princess wears fur boots. And in Mexico, she is a he. And instead of a fairy godmother, has a talking horse. It's the same story over and over again. A disadvantaged person goes out to seek their fortune and ends up living happily ever after with a little bit of help from something outside themselves. This should sound really familiar because we tell this story all the time. It's another one of Joseph Campbell's ideas of the hero's journey. We just replace our coworkers and our friends and our family members and our bosses in all the appropriate roles. Jonathan Gottschall wrote a book last year called The Storytelling Animal. And his theory is that we have stories to test out weird parts of life so that when we get to them, we'll have something to hold on to. Like pilots with, thank you, pilots with flight simulators. Think about it. When you get in a difficult situation, what do? You look for a precedent. You look for a story to help you through that difficult time. A couple of years ago, a filmmaker named Sarah Pauli made a film called The Stories We Tell, where the viewer goes through and gets this family story of her mom. But by the end of the film, we realize that's not really what this movie is about. This movie is about how people tell stories. Because Sarah confesses that this is just one story among dozens and hundreds of her mother. Despite the fact we have seen multiple interviews and we've seen what seem to be authentic footage of the events that she relates. And that's the thing about stories, is so we can change them. They're here in our lives all the time. They're steady. But depending on who's telling the story, we're the victim. We're the hero. We're sometimes the villain. We're the trickster. And that's probably why we love them so much, because change is the only constant, isn't it? So the main thing about stories is preserving the story. But the second biggest rule is knowing your audience and connecting with them, finding that bit that is in their lives too, because we have that connection going through generations, like Landry said. The National Storytelling Network, just to give a little plug, knows about this connection. They break outside of the traditional performance stuff, and they even have subgroups that explore storytelling in business and in higher education, healing arts, religion, politics, environmental issues, even social causes. And CNN decided they would follow the NSN around a little bit a couple of years ago in a piece that they did about storytelling festivals, like the one up in Jonesboro or the one in Florence, Alabama. And they confessed that most of the people they saw there were grandparents, grandkids. So where are the rest of us? Where are the 20s, the 30s, the 40-somethings? We're at Moth, which is a movement that started a few years ago in New York, in the founder's living room. And those stories end up being more about the nonfiction, personal narrative stuff. They're very honest, to the point of sometimes risque. And in town, in Nashville, we've got 7 of these shows that go on monthly, if you didn't know it. You can tell your own story to the people around you, in front of an audience or privately. Just nod or raise your hand if you've heard any of these. The Great Eastern, First Time Stories, Night of Free Speech, That Time of the Month, Tell It Like It Is in Hendersonville. Now my mind is blanking, but I promise there were 2 more. But still, there is a story in an audience for everyone. I belong to a storytelling guild that tells all sorts of stories, traditional, non-fiction, personal narrative, everything. And we meet in Hendersonville. I know there's one in Murfreesboro. I know there's one in Franklin. Why is there not one here? We could do this. But suffice to say, my storytelling guild does travel. We'll be at the Tomato Festival telling stories to the kids. So there is a story for everyone. So why don't you tell me yours? I'll listen. Thank you.
Wow, that's great. One more time, Magda. Y'all can stand up now. Come on, I know you can.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say it's alright. Little Lottie, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little Lottie, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little Lottie, the smiles returning to their faces. like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo doo doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. It's slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been there. Here comes the sun, doo doo doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. It's alright. Here, no doubt about that.
Awesome. I'm going to take a moment and introduce the band to you. We are the Unnamed Assembly Band, which just kind of happened because we couldn't figure out a name. I want to introduce Mr. John Cabrera on the drums. Give it up for John. Lead that song, lead guitars, all the great stuff. Mr. Jameson Sevitz on the... he's just awesome. Back from Qatar, overseas, joining us. He was one of the originals. Mr. Patrick Hurst, I appreciate it. Our lovely ladies on vocals, Miss Deb Dennison, Miss Kate Sherlock this morning. Ray Dennison on the keys. Mr. Franco Hasaguchi helping us with the sound today. My name is Adam Newton, and we're going to all come together right now.
Hold it, roller, head down.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. We're at the point in our service where it's called "Doing My Best," and Glenn, who is another one of our Sunday Assembly organizers, is going to read a piece relating to our theme of generations today. Come on up here, Gwen. Yay, big hand for Gwen. And all of the coffee and refreshments and all of the other wonderful things we have going on over there. Gwen and Tanya and Tracy, wherever he is. There he is. You guys rock. And
he forgot Andy.
Andy! Sorry,
She is the queen of the iced coffee.
Yes, sorry, Andy. Uncle Landry, no short term.
Saw the head shaking.
I know, I'm short. But for those of you who don't know me, I come from a 3-generation household. In our house, we have my parents, myself, and my oldest nephew who's 22. That's on a permanent basis. 9 times out of 10, you will also find either one of my siblings, my brother or my sister there, with another nephew. Occasionally, we have all of us there. But in living in this household, I have learned 5 things. From my father, who is a retired Marine, I have learned, and who is now getting older and needing assistance, I've learned how to ask and accept help gracefully. From my mother, who is a stay-at-home mom and occasionally substitute teacher to allow us to do vacations, she is now teaching me how to take time for myself and not let everybody run all over you. From my brother and his son, who happens to have autism, I'm learning perseverance. From my oldest nephew, who's my sister's oldest, I have learned to always be myself, no matter what. And from my youngest nephew, my sister's youngest, I have learned that there's very little that a hug or a snuggle won't make at least a little bit better. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice.
You rock. Give it up for Gwen. And hugs and snuggles. I'm all about that. All about the hugs and the snuggles. Although I can say, you can't just walk up to random people and hug them anymore. It's just not safe. Feeling good. All right. How you feeling there, Franco? Fine. You feel fine. You look fine too. And you know what? It's better to look good than to feel good. You look marvelous. All right. It's time for a little moment of silence. This is the part where we just kind of close your eyes and be quiet. Enjoy the fact that there is silence in the world. From my perspective, a big fan of John Cage. I like to think of the noise and the environment around us as some sort of music. And so just enjoy that for a minute and close your eyes if you want. You can sit down if you want, but I think it's better if you stand up. So, moment of silence.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us is only sky. Imagine all the people
all right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Again, my name's Adam Newton. I've got a pretty cool privilege where I'm on the board of directors for Sunday Assembly International, and for those of you who don't know, and I think many of you do, that this is not only a global movement that has just caught fire all over the world, not only here in Nashville, but it's a labor of love for everybody involved. I know, just with, we're coming up on a year of doing this. We're really close to that. And over that course of time, I've met so many incredible people that, it goes without saying. And I think most of the people here today can attest to that. And I know that there's so many people that aren't here today that, would certainly attest to that as well. But being a labor of love, that means that none of us work to do this for anything, and I'm sure you can appreciate the amount of time that goes into not only finding venues and rehearsing with the band and having all of these people come together and do this, that they're really putting a lot of effort in. And throughout the month, there's weekly goings on with our small groups, with our community involvement and things like that. What I can tell you is that we are entirely sufficient or dependent on you all for your donations and keeping this afloat. Fortunately, one of the situations and one of the benefits of being here in Hadley Park for the next 3 months is that it does allow us to save at least a little bit of money on what otherwise is our most costly component, and that's finding a venue. And we have a little bit of challenges when doing that. Obviously, in an outside venue like this, we can pool our resources and find people to put stages and stuff together and all the sound equipment, but at the end of the day, we need to find not only a venue that can comfortably seat about 100 people, but that also has children's facilities and sound systems and things like that. And in that case, we need the funds to operate. Let me preface this by saying I wouldn't ask you guys to do anything that I'm not already doing myself. But for any of those of you who can, who find value in what we are doing here on a monthly and a weekly basis, to go online, the link is on the back of the program that you have today. Sign up for a recurring donation of really any amount that you can to Sunday Assembly. I mean, really at this point, $10, $20 a month, anything that you can donate will help us get into not only secure a facility for this fall and this winter, but help us to continue to make positive impact in people's lives here locally and in the community as a whole. So I would really encourage you to do that today. If you have a pen and you can tell us ahead of time so that we can better prepare for this, our budget is in the hundreds of dollars a month. So you can imagine that it's not a big number, but we need you all to come together and help us do that. That's my pitch for today. So appreciate you guys giving, and then also please let us know if you're going to give online. Set up that recurring donation for us. It will really, really help us out. The other announcement that I know I've got is that next Sunday's assembly is in July, and I think it's July 13th? July 13th. So we've got a very short period of time between now and then. It's going to be right back here, and we're going to really focus the entire assembly and the entire day on kids, and what we're going to have some great activities for the kids afterwards. Jameson Sevitz has literally just put out an album of I don't even know what to call it, like kiddie rock that is awesome. And so he's going to be doing some songs and speaking. We've got some other great speakers that are going to come and share their experiences, and we're going to really gear it around that. What I am hoping to do, I'm actually going to be the host for next Sunday, so I don't really want to do as much. I mean, you probably are sick of me from this standpoint, so I'm going to talk instead next Sunday. But we really want to have young musicians, young singers. We've got a opera singer who's going to come in and do a great song from one of the current Disney movies out there. We need a choir for them. If there are any young adults or young kids that play in band and want to come in and participate, please let me know. Come through Meetup, find me afterwards. Let's get you signed up. Let's get you engaged and involved. It's going to be a blast. So I really would appreciate you guys' support. Spread the word. Tell everybody about it. It's going to be a great time. Am I saying anything else? Oh, don't forget that there's a bathroom right behind here. Just walk around the other side of the stage in the back, and there's soap and everything, and they're clean and good stuff. That's it?
That's it.
That's our announcements. All right, I'll turn it back over to Landry.
We talked about stories that pass on between generations. We talked about how we create our own stories in our own lives and how those stories can change, how we can change changing the stories of our lives can change our lives in some respects. So that's a good thing. The Sunday Assembly here, we're creating our own story. This is our 8th month doing the Sunday Assembly since November last year. So yay, 8 months for us. And yeah, as Adam said, this is part of a global movement. There were 30 assemblies in May, and they're projected to be 100 in September. So the whole organization is growing worldwide. A lot of people are excited about this idea that we can all get together and that we can have a good time. We can celebrate the fact that we're alive, and we can put some of our differences aside in the process. Yes, making the world a better place. That's part of what we're doing here. The program here, in addition to having our motto, our vision, and our mission on the front here, we have on the back information on our small groups, on some of our community service activities, comment card if you want to leave us a comment, pledge card if you want to make that recurring pledge that Adam was just referring to. We appreciate you all coming out. This has been a great Sunday. We're going to have some coffee and refreshments over here, continuing for a bit after the assembly, and then I think we're all going to run down the street down this way to the next major intersection, the Sweats, and get us some good food. So I hope you can come out with us.
All right, everybody knows this song. Everybody's got to stand up and sing it with us as we kind of close it out today. You guys have been great. I've even heard people in the back. Really appreciate it. So here we go. Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better. Remember to let her into your heart. Then you can start to make it better. Hey Jude, don't be afraid. You were made to go out and get her. The minute you let her under your skin, then you begin very much.
Yay!
Everybody's